gonna take a break off whacking the bread. The bread. No, I'm gonna take some time off from uh, beating on the head of LeBron for some time. Try to do something a little bit different because I don't know if you guys realize what the hell. Got my chords all mixed up. Sorry. I don't know if you guys realize it's been 20 years since. Hold on, right quick. It's been 20 years since Detroit Pistons have won the championship, right? Uh, we haven't seen them get close to that probably since 2007. They haven't been in the playoffs since 2019 when they had Blake Griffin and I think Andre Drummond was still 19 when they got swept out of the playoffs by my Milwaukee Bucks, right? So it's been some time since the Detroit Pistons have done anything. Only thing they have done is almost acquired the worst record known to man in the NBA ever. But they was terrible last year regardless. Now they're paying the coach. They fired a coach and paid a coach that they fired for the next couple of years. The team has just been a mess, right? But let's go back to 2003. When this all began, when the last time the Detroit Pistons were they weren't even talking to town back then. They was, but not like that. Their season ended in 2003-2004 season 54-28, second in Central, third in the conference. That year in the draft, they picked Darko Milicic. Darko Milicic. When they had a chance to pick Carmelo Anthony. But anyways, man, Carmelo could have had a ring. He would have got picked. But anyways, also, I think it was Larry Brown's first year in the league too. Yeah. It was the first time. I think this is his first year. Let me see right quick, just make sure. That had to be his first year. Let me see to make sure. His first year on the Detroit Pistons was the 2003 season. Yes. And he didn't last very long. He only lasted 2 seasons. But in his best season as a coach, Pistons became a tough defensive team. I think they was always a tough defensive team. And they started out that season 33-16. And then they kind of dipped in February. And then all of a sudden, they made a trade to get Rasheed Wallace. And they already had Ben Wallace, Chauncey Billups, Tayshaun Prince. Who else was on that team? Lindsey Hunter, Eldon Campbell, Richard Hamilton. How can I forget Richard Hamilton? The recently exiled out of L.A. Darvin Ham, who's now coaching for the Milwaukee Bucks. Mike James, Mehmet Okur. Okay, of course, Darko Milicic. I'm trying to figure who else was on there. And Corus Williamson. That's who it was on there. Now, this team wasn't really, superstarish. They had all-stars, but it wasn't superstarish. They didn't have any big names. And I don't think at the time, Richard Hamilton, Chauncey Billups, Tayshaun Prince, Ben Wallace, and Rasheed Wallace were top 10 players. Maybe top 20, but definitely not top 10. None of them was. So this team was low-key. They came out of nowhere. Finished the season, like I said before, 54-28. They did have one All-Star that year. They had it in Ben Wallace that year. I think Ben Wallace also was a defensive player that won the Defensive Player of the Year that year, I think. I think he was. Let me see right quick just to make sure. I ain't out here freaking capping. I thought he won Defensive Player of the Year like 3 times in a row. Just to make sure. Ben Wallace, who is now currently the basketball operations and team engagement advisor for the Detroit Pistons. Ben Wallace won Defensive Player of the Year. Yes. Not in 2004. but he won it in 2003, 5, and 6. And I only think 61 with Detroit Pistons. But this team was constructed slowly. Drafted, free agent, some free agent signs, trades that came out of nowhere. This year, I actually did a video about Ben Wallace's whole career not too long ago. Ben Wallace is ranked among the league's leaders in rebound, 12.4 rebounds a game, and blocks 3.2. And that's who he lost out to that year, the championship year, Ron Artest. So let me read that straight again. So Ben Wallace, how tall is Ben Wallace? 6'9" and 240. And you remember Ben Wallace? Ben Wallace was, he was built. So Ben Wallace is 6'9", 240 pounds, and he averaging 12 rebounds a game that year and 2.3 blocks. Why in the hell can LeBron do that? Why? Never mind. I'm not even gonna go down that route. I said I'm not gonna bash LeBron in the head, but it just occurred to me. It's like, how? LeBron's on the same height. Never mind. I'm not going down that route. Not going down that route. So to start off their championship season, or playoff run, or championship run, they would play my Milwaukee Bucks that year. Myself had no faith in them, in the Bucks. The Bucks, I think, had Gary Payton, maybe? Yeah, no. They might have had him because they traded Ray Allen. First game, they beat the brakes off the Milwaukee. Then they lose in game 2. And then they pretty much win the last 3 games, beating the brakes off the Milwaukee Bucks before going to play the New Jersey Nets, I think it was. Wasn't the New Jersey Nets now. The New Jersey Nets, they went 7 games with. This is New Jersey Nets with, I think, still Kenyon Martin, Jason Kidd, not Richard Hamilton. What's the other Richard? I can't even think of his name right now. What the frick is that? Not Richard Hamilton. What the frick is his name? Richard Jefferson. Yeah, this team had Richard Jefferson, Jason Kidd, Alonzo Mourning, but he was hurt throughout the whole season, most of the season. Kenyon Martin, Brian Scalabrine, the White Mamba, Aaron Williams. So that team, this is the same team that just went to the finals not too long ago, and it was coached by Byron Scott and Lawrence Frank. I think Byron Scott was fired mid-season because they started 22-20 from what I'm reading in these notes right here. This is where they fired him right after he took them to the finals. And it was 47-35. And they were second. Man, the seedings were messed up back then. The freaking New Jersey Nets were second seed at 47-35 because they won their division when they used to put the division leaders on top. I'm glad they don't do that no more. I just talked about that with the Dallas Mavericks. But they went 7 games with the New Jersey Nets. New Jersey Nets were tough. And the Pistons was also facing elimination in Game 6, which is crazy. But they came back and won in Game 6, 81-75. Went to Game 7 in New Jersey, East Rutherford, New Jersey, and held the backcourt. Well, this is a team thing. The Pistons held Jason Kidd to 0 points, beating the Nets 90-69. Woo, man. You don't see scores like that no more. And then they would play their nemesis, the Indiana Pacers. And this is before, a couple months before the brawl, which I'll probably talk about when that time comes in November. Now, the Indiana Pacers, they weren't too shabby on defense as well. Ron Artest was Defensive Player of the Year. I think on that team was Ron Artest, Jermaine O'Neal, I think CB4 was on their team, meaning Stephen Jackson. He might not have been on that team. I don't know yet. He might have been with the Spurs still. Indiana had Harrington, not Horford. Harrington, Fred Jones, James Jones, still had Reggie Miller, Jermaine O'Neal, Jamal Tinsley, Scott Pollard, Jeff Foster, Austin Crocier, Jonathan Bender. What his career could have been. He now got hurt. And like I said, Ron Artest, Kenny Anderson. Nope, there was no CB4 on there. I think it was the year after he came out. I think CB4, Steven Jackson, was still with the Spurs. And this team was coached by Rick Carlisle. Huh. I forgot Isaiah coached the Indiana Pacers. Got fired by Larry Bird. Wow, that's crazy. But anyways, they beat the Indiana Pacers in 6 games. And this will be the Pistons' first NBA appearance, NBA Finals appearance, since 1990. Since the last time they won. And I remember the hocus pocus, the riffraff around this finals. Everybody picked the Lakers to win. Everybody picked the Lakers to win this. Lakers had Coach Kobe and Shaq, but this was towards the end when they was beefing. But they also had Karl Malone, old ass Karl Malone. Not the same Karl Malone from the 90s. Not the same one that won of MVP in 98. But also Gary Payton as well. Of course, Phil Jackson was coaching. This didn't go as planned for the Lakers. I want to know what they pissed. No, it's not going to tell me. But it was, like I said, it was heavily underdog. Some people thought the Lakers was going to sweep the Detroit Pistons, but that didn't happen. Game 1. This is the same year the Lakers. Oh, the Timberwolves were in the first seed too. Yeah, that's right. Both of these teams in the regular season beat each other in their 2 games. But the first game, Detroit Pistons won 87-75. Pistons and the Lakers would play game 2 2 days later. This game was in overtime, 99-91. I think Kobe hit that shot to tie the game to go into overtime. I just watched this whole entire series not too long ago. Game 3 went to Detroit. In Detroit, winning 88-68 in a blowout fashion. Man, those scores are freaking unbelievable now. Looking back at them, 88-68. Game 4, 88-80. Pistons won, of course, and then 100-87 in Game 5, winning in front of their home crowd in Detroit. This is when they went to the 2. They was using the 2-3-2 site format. Now they don't use that anymore. I think they use what they use throughout the whole entire playoffs now. Let's see here. See this something right quick. They only had one All-Star on this team. Like I said, it was Ben Wallace. It's crazy. And Shaq, I wouldn't say they completely shut down Shaq, Rasheed Wallace, and Ben Wallace, but it made it difficult for him. They made it difficult for Kobe, of course, with the long arms of Tayshaun Prince. That was the difference maker in there. And I think Karl Malone was hurt for most of that season as well. Gary Payton just wasn't the same Gary Payton. I don't think he can keep up with the backcourt of Chauncey Billups, and Richard Hamilton was knocking down everything coming off them screens. This team was just proved too much. And I think they fed into the Pistons. They fed into all the, they ain't going to win a game. They're the underdogs. It's David Goliath. Pistons ain't got no shot. Pistons have a bunch of no-namers. And they proved the world wrong. And also after game 2, it was famously quoted by Chauncey Billups. And he told the players and coaches on the bus, we're not coming back to L.A. He was right. They ain't coming back. They didn't come back. In game 3, Tayshaun Prince held Kobe to 11 points, 4 for 13 shooting, 30% shooting from the field. Kobe went scoreless in the first half of game 3. Now, I know some Kobe here doing see, but Spurs did the same thing to LeBron, so let's not go there. Plenty of times. Yeah, Karl Malone was nagging. He had a knee injury from what I reading right here. He didn't even play in game 5. In that game 4, both Kobe and Shaq shot 32% from the field. Game 5, let's see here, looking at the percentage. None of them tell me how much they shoot. Let's see here. For the whole entire series, Kobe Bryant shot 38% from the field, 17% from 3. Shaq shot 63 from the field. That was actually a high for him. I think he was the highest on the team, of course, because he was at the front of the basket. That series, Shaq averaged 26 points a game, 10 rebounds. Like I said, shooting for 63% from the field. Kobe shot 22. Averaged 22 points a game, 2.8 rebounds and 4 assists, while shooting 38%. So they was stifled by the Pistons defense. And compared to the Pistons, the highest person on that team, scoring wise, was Chauncey Billups and Richard Hammond, both averaging 21 points a game. And Chauncey Billups did get MVP for that finals as well. But this whole thing, it was a team effort from the Detroit Pistons. It's a big team effort. This wasn't a me, look at me type of thing. This was a team effort. There was no egos on this team. They played as a team and they won as a team. Something you don't really see too much these days, because everybody's about themselves and what they can do and how they look. That's something that's missing. Now, I consider the Detroit Pistons one of the best defensive teams ever to grace the court. And I think they're up there. I don't want to say this. I don't want to say the best team ever. No, that's stupid. Probably one of the best teams up there. They up there. It's sad they couldn't repeat it because they got stifled by another team who was probably another great team in the San Antonio Spurs in the 2005 finals. That series going 7 games. But many NBA fans, probably some casuals, did not like that NBA finals and resulted to some of the stuff you see now. Stupid fouls and too much shooting. Because that NBA finals was the defensive finals and nobody was going down easily in that finals. That was a knockout, drag-out one right there. So you look at the numbers of the Detroit Pistons right quick before I end this video. They averaged 90 points a game, 24th in the league. Opponents' points, they held the points to 84.3, second in the league. Offensive rating 102, even, 18th in the league. And a whopping 95.4 defensive rating, second in the league. I think first might have been the Indiana Pacers that year. I could be wrong, but I think it was them because they was great on defense as well. So, like I said, I know the Detroit Pistons fans out there, I know they want to see a team like this. I don't know how long it's going to take. It's been 20 years almost, and I think this has been the longest. Well, let me say this. I want to say for most of the 70s, Detroit Pistons were not really thought of until the 80s. Till they got Isaiah Thomas and got their team they got. And they was in the mix all the time. Even throughout the 90s with Grant Hill. Then they kind of fell apart, of course. In And then they had a revival. Now it's going on for another 20 years. And I know the Detroit Pistons fans want to see this team competing and being in the mix again. But I don't think it's going to happen this year either. Not when you still have Indiana, Cleveland, the Bucks in your division bullying you for 82 games. Well, I won't say for 82 games, for a whole season. So I just wanted to share some history again with the 2004 Detroit Pistons. I think they one of the best teams. I always say this. One of the best defensive teams ever to win a title. But that's just my thinking. But tell me what you guys think.